What inspired you to start Cogent Analytics, and how has the vision changed over the years?
I think if I really get down to it, Mark, I was a serial entrepreneur before I had the privilege of starting Cogent Analytics. I had about a decade working with another consultancy and really having a chance to immerse myself in the small business community. I think I had the privilege of working with over 1,000 business owners in doing what's called a discovery for Cogent Analytics. They called it a survey or analysis, and through that experience, I learned two major things. Number one, outside of my own journey as an entrepreneur, the journey for most entrepreneurs starts with a great idea and a lot of heart, but it isn't founded in the root of business. And decade of working with over 1,000 business owners, I realized how many times small business owners get stuck in the thick of thin things and not really think
Mm.
strategically about life and business and family and all the different ways that this business becomes a foundation of their life. So when I started Cogent, it really was because I didn't align with the value system of the firm I was representing. And I'll stop right there because I don't want to speak ill. Um, but the vision for Cogent really was all about raising others up, thinking about being an entrepreneur, representing entrepreneurs, and trying to help people through that journey of growth and scalability. And that's the foundation of where the Profit Platform was born. And I would say after 11 years and thousands of clients later, that evolution from 6 people to over 250 members in the Cogent family and multi-discipline approach, I think we're at the forefront of our growth at our current size after 11 years. And my partners may want to speak to this issue of their own accord. But I think it's evolutionary. I think we're at that point at 250 people, 30 plus states, and still growing. That we're really at the beginning of the next step of our journey, not really in a mature phase. So, Caleb, Sarah, Rose, you may want to speak to this one as well.
Well, I'll simply say, Mark, I am so excited about the impact that we continue to make. It seems like one of the things that puts us in a different echelon is that everybody here is so passionate about that mission and so aligned. If you walked around our halls and had the unique privilege of being able to do that and just pick somebody randomly, you would find out that whoever you picked would say very similar things as us. And I think that that's one of the most humbling thing for me. I know it's humbling for Rob and Sarah Rose. And as we look to take these next steps, it's that unity in mission that inspires other people to join our cause and allows us to be able to be fairly aggressive in the next 5 years of what our plan is. We will be a national brand in the next 5 years, and we're going to be well known across the United States for making the American dream happen.
Sarah Rose, just on that, Sarah Rose, it sounds like from both Rob and Caleb that there's a mission, there's a purpose that's driving the business forward. Why don't you just touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our mission is to help business owners discover the opportunities that they are missing so far in their business, help empower them to achieve not just improved profitability, improved cash flow, and improved owner equity, but really to improve their quality of life. So, our mission, and this is something that is a huge differentiator for us in the world of other consultancies, is that we have a relentless focus on the business owner's why. So I know that for your audience, for business owners out there who are listening to this, many are going to relate with this idea that a business owner is their business. They can't you can't separate the two. They are often one and the same. And we all know that deep down, entrepreneurs start their businesses with a really deep why, a deep reason. For some, it is providing for their family. For some, it is building a legacy. For some, it is making enough money to retire early and travel the world. And what makes Cogent so special is that we hone in on that why. And it's different for every entrepreneur out there. Anybody that we conduct a discovery with is going to have their own reasons why they're in business, why they put in the immense effort that it takes to be a business owner today. And we focus on improving the business to help them meet their life goals, right? Not the other way around.
And
Mm.
Mark, if I can
So
add to that, right?
of course.
I'm gonna give it a name. We call it the portrait of life. Every entrepreneur picks up that paintbrush, and when they start their business, they think about, Sarah Rose said, the owner's why. We actually gave it a name because, sometimes you get trapped in the business of the business, or running your business every day, or worse yet, the business running you. And I'm sure some of your listeners
Mm,
are thinking, wow, I'm in the thick of my business running me. And they lose sight
mm,
of their why or their portrait. And the business is meant to feed their families, it's meant to feed their children, it's meant to feed those life goals. And moreover, it's meant to help support and grow their people and their families. So it's not a selfish thing in my mind. It's something that every entrepreneur knows, whether they have 5 people or 10 people or 50 people, that personal responsibility that they have towards that staff, and not just where they're taking the business, but how do you raise that group of people in common cause, common mission, and common growth. That hopefully that brings a little bit of color to the client's why.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so Caleb, why don't you answer me a question about how you differentiate between other consultancy firms, your competitors, because you do things differently, and you've talked about it. You guys have talked about it already, but why for you is it important to think about your clients holistically, and why do you think other consultancy firms are not embracing that sort of idea?
Yeah, I believe that kind of that holistic approach is certainly one of the powerful things we do. Even more powerful than that, Mark, in my opinion, is the fact that we roll up our sleeves, sit beside the business owners, and are really implementers. We particularly obsess about that fact. We take ownership over the results, and to us, if we're invited into a business alongside a small business owner, it is imperative that we are driving change with that owner. We understand that change is really, really hard. We understand operating a business is really hard. And we do not want to be the Monday morning quarterbacks. We want to be in the fight with you. We want to be in the trenches supporting your goals. It's not specifically about a couple good ideas and then we'll sit back and say, why didn't you get this done? It's about doing it with you and showing you that it's possible to be done. And so for me, yes, it's really powerful that we have expanded our service offering so that we're not just representing a business owner with process change or organizational development or strategic planning or any of those other buzzwords, but we're getting in the weeds. We're helping you hire the right people. We're helping you have that next sales call. We're working with you to go through the financial plan so that we can make the right decisions and have that conversation with your vendors so that we can take the next step forward and invest in our people, invest in our growth, and make change sustainable. So, if I was to boil it down to a couple things, the thing that I'm most proud of in how we work is we're an implementer first. We almost want to cross out the words consultant and say, we sit beside you and operate the business as a partnership, not to supplant you, but to recognize that it's hard and it must be done in a side by side manner to force change through the organization as the next step. I would then say we are incredibly good at being both broad and deep. And we haven't done it by hiring people that are supermen or superwomen. We have done it by picking out people with different disciplines and getting really good at working as a team because we are passionate at representing our small business owner partners. And last, we hold ourselves accountable just like we were owning the business itself. One of the biggest lessons for me when I was working Early on at Cogent Analytics, as Rob said to me, act as if it was your own 500,000 in the business. If you make different decisions with that in mind, then you're doing it wrong. You need to take personal accountability for the results in the business, and we do as a firm.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that. So Caleb alluded to, this idea that consultancy really isn't the best descriptor for who we are at Cogent Analytics. And Mark, your listeners will likely, anytime they hear the word consultant, they're probably cringing inside, right?
Yes.
It isn't. It's not a good representation of who we are. Even though Rob and I were just speaking about this morning, it's hard to find a term that is quite right. Implementer is much more on the mark. Advisor, partner, profit partner are all much closer to what it is that we're truly doing. Because the truth is, Mark, that there is no other firm out there, there is no other company out there that is helping small businesses at the level that we are. Caleb mentioned a kind of a snippet of some of the service offerings that we have expanded over the last 11 years. And there is no part of a client's business that we are not touching actively.